Hello everybody, welcome to another streams about ZBrush and jewelry. My name is Nacho Riesco and here we are again for making jewelry designs with ZBrush. As I already said before, welcome everybody. Let me check my settings on the streaming first before I start talking and let you know what I'm gonna do today. Let me know if my voice sounds good, music is not too loud. Let's see if all your chats is working. Welcome everybody from Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. Hey Fexter, how you doing? Here you are again. Glad that you are here. Watching again my streaming. Welcome everybody who is gonna watch this live session live, or you are watching this once the video was released to the different social media platforms. So thanks a lot. So today I'm going to keep working on the design I started four streamings ago. Probably all of you know that if you go to the Maxon ZBrush, I used to go to the YouTube, so you go to the live section, you scroll down, you will find my previous streamings here. This is the streaming I was doing 2 weeks ago. I'm very happy because it was having a lot of visualizations. 30,000 people have been watching the streaming, and if you keep scrolling down, you will find me at my older streamings. Here I have 1 month ago, and so on. I think this is going to be the fifth video about this design. Maybe the music is a bit loud. This is going to be the fifth. But you want, you can go also to my channel. If you go to Nacho Riesco, you will find the collection of all of my previous streamings here under my ZBrush live streams section. So here, this is the number 1, number 2, and this is going to be the fourth streaming about this design I started, I think 2 months ago or 1.5 months ago. And we will follow working on this maybe today, and my next streaming is going to be, I think if I remember well, it's going to be the 22nd of August. So I hope we will finish this design then, not today, on my second streaming of August. My camera is not in the position. Let's check. Okay, so let's start working on it. So put this here. Streaming looks like it is working well. Okay, so you have questions, comments, you can leave your comments or questions during the streaming, so I will be glad to help you as more as I can. I'm going to try to keep an eye as more as possible on the chat, so I will answer all of your questions. I will answer all of your comments. And it looks like more people are coming. Thanks again. And today, this is where I left the design on my previous stream. So we were working on the panther, we were working on the different elements, and from them till today, I have been working on my free time. So this is making this new update. This is the latest update I made. So I decided to put some hemstones on the corners, so adding this kind of updating to the frame. The frame before was completely straight. Now it has this kind of thicker corners, so just for being able to set some stones on the corners. I changed the texture on the background, so I was talking about this on the previous streamings. If I can show you here the differences. Let's open. So you can see the shape here. It has before a quad shape profile, and now I change from this simple shape to this, where I have pyramid or triangular shape. So I think it's much better for the metal. So for the reflection, it's going to be more interesting. And I updated. I was working on the frame. Let me see. Maybe the music is a little bit very loud on my side. Maybe like this. It's going to be better. And I was working on the frame, because if I start hitting, because you can see here I have everything organized under different folders. If I hide the panther, I hide the bale, and this is the cage or the box with the definitive, or almost. I can say 95%. It's going to be 99 or 95% definitive as it is now. So I was checking the measurements. So if I open the cage, so I split the cage into different parts. I was doing this because, for example, let's see. This is the cage itself. I'm sorry. This is the cage. It's just a block, and this is the negative subtraction. Everything when I'm subtracting this. So with this operation, I can see the depth, the total depth of the cage of this piece of metal. If we go to the Scale Master, you know that we're going to use a lot of this plugin for checking measurements. We will be going to the Scale Master many times. So set the scene scale. It is around 5.3 millimeter thick. So at this point, as I said before, I'm gonna try to keep it as a definitive measurements, but let's see if during the designing process, because we are still designing the piece, we are still taking decisions during the sculpting process or the modeling process. Maybe we can make it thicker or thinner, but I think it's gonna be almost definitive. And I added this piece. This is gonna be the plate on the background. You can see it's almost in the middle, and this plate is 1 millimeter thickness. It's for not adding a lot of weight to the piece. And this is the corners for the stones, and this is just for checking how many stones. Here you can see here a kind of weird thing on the corner, because this is a very low poly mass yet. So in some cases, when you are having the light boolean option activated, you can have this kind of issue when ZBrush is not able to render properly some faces of the mesh. But you can see the mesh is closed. If I turn this off, you can see the mesh it's okay. But when I turn on light boolean, you can see this kind of weird effect with a kind of vanished single polygon. But the polygon is there. We're not having any issues on the mesh. And where I have more, I have nothing else. And okay, and today I only also have this piece on the background. I made this drawing because on the back, this is going to be the front, or this is going to be the back. And the back, I'm going to add a kind of gallery there. The most common name where we use in jewelry is called this piece when we try to hide the back part of the design, or the internal face on a ring, or the back face of a brooch or of a pendant. We call these pieces like an open work back cover, or where we draw elements, or we can add some decorative elements, and this is what I have at this moment. I think it's gonna be enough. This is just a sketch it. I was working on this yesterday, and let's see how the front works. If it works well, we will call this definitive, but this is gonna be the back part. So on the front we're gonna have something, on the back we're gonna have this kind of decorative ornamental element, where the black strokes, or the mask, the stroke where are currently masked, are going to be solid. It's going to be casted in metal, and the non-masked surfaces are going to be free, empty spaces. If we go to the extract, just for illustrate what I'm saying, so we click on extract. So we have some polygons masks, another polygon not. So we're gonna have something like this, where if we squeeze it a little bit, we can decide how thick is thick, as easy as go to the scale master again. Now it is 1 millimeter thick. I think we're gonna try to make this as minimum as possible. Here we have a mistake yet, because here you can see this piece is floating in the air. I should connect this part with this, but just for checking how it works. If we want to make it thinner, we should turn this off, the R, and let's see, we're talking about realistic thickness. I think 0.8 millimeters is going to be enough. I made a mistake. I'm noticing that I made a mistake because I was having this all button active. That means that when I change one of the measurement of one subtool, we're going to change all of the measurement according to the subtool we decide to change. So, well, this is I made something wrong. So this is what I have, just for illustrating, just for explaining to you the idea about what is going to happen in the background. Is not finished, as I said before, but this is the idea. Maybe today we're going to work on this. I'm going to delete this file because I changed the units. I'm going to import it again, open it again, and there you go. So if we come back to the cage tool, so we turn this on again, maybe before, try one very cool thing. I don't know if you already know it. If you use this this plugin, IMM Draw Size, this is going to be very useful in many cases. It was designed for setting the insert brushes to a specific size in millimeters. This is going to be very important when we are creating jewelry designs with ZBrush. For example, we are creating a stone setting in many cases. But one very cool thing is, because when you try to just start painting a gallery like this on open work with wires like this, you can control the thickness, or more or less. It's not very accurate, but it's accurate enough. I think the thickness of your stroke. These strokes are, because you know that when we are creating jewelry designs, the measurements, thicknesses, distances, proportion are very important. If I take this measurement from one point to the other point, ZBrush is telling to me here on my top left corner that here I have 0.8 millimeter thickness. From this point to this point, 0.7 millimeter thickness. I think it's going to be realistic. Maybe for you looks thick or look thin, but we need to translate how it looks like with real measurements. So when we try to make wires like this kind of open work design, between 0.6 and 0.8 millimeters is going to be a realistic units in terms of having success on the printing and on the casting. So, but one thing that you can do, for example, if I need to connect, I need to create an stroke between this point and this point to avoiding having this ear floating on the air. You can use this plugin and tell to ZBrush that I'm looking for a stroke of 0.8 millimeter. Yeah, I'm just click on here, set IMM draw size. As this, what this plugin does is setting the brush size according to the units you decide. In this case, 0.8 millimeter, and I have a stroke of 0.8 millimeter. What I like to do is, when I'm using mask, I like to set up the focal set to -100 and turn on my lazy mouse with lazy steps to 0, so I can start creating strokes of 0.8 millimeter thickness. In this case, 0.8 millimeter thickness wire. So for example, what I can do is having maybe something like this. And let me read your comments. Guardian MB. I use Riesco for jewelry design, and recently I got interested to start learning ZBrush. Good decision. For more complex designs, it's there in a training course or YouTube channel that you would recommend for beginners? For beginners, I think it's, if you try to find general information about ZBrush, I mean how ZBrush works, you don't have to be focused from the beginning in jewelry design. So you need to know first the basics of ZBrush, how to work inside of the interface, how to manage the different subtools, the different brushes, and so on. So once you are getting familiar with the interface, with the way of working, maybe you can go further and start creating jewelry design. So information about basic knowledge, there are a lot of information inside of YouTube or inside of the Maxon ZBrush website. No, it's that you can make your questions, your comments. It doesn't matter if it's not related about what I'm doing. So you're completely free to send your question, even if you are having questions to a completely different thing, of course, related to ZBrush or to jewelry design, or to any other 3D sculpting questions. But you can do it. But you go to the Maxon ZBrush website, you will find a section about training. So you will find there a lot of videos where you can learn the basics of the software, on the interface, on the different how the different ways you have to sculpt a mesh using polymesh, using dynamesh, using sculptors. So there are a lot of information about learning ZBrush from the beginning. Maybe the problems comes with you need to start making specific things. So, but it's just a matter of. And another way that you have is you can reach me during my social media and send whatever you need. So I will be glad to help you as more as I can. Thanks a lot, Baxter. Glad you like it. It's still, I think I'm not still 100% happy with the result, but it's gonna be something like this. It's almost done, but not completely ready. And Wallace, will the stream will be saved to watch? Sure, all of the streamings will be saved and uploaded to the YouTube and Twitch platforms of Maxon ZBrush. So you will be able to catch a lot of this stream and many other streams from other artists. I think it's gonna be interesting for you. Okay, you are welcome, Guardian. Piggy Wilkley. Where is the best place to get feedback for project I'm working on? I'm joining the ZBrush Discord, but I'm not sure what chat to put my wording for. Well, depending on, maybe you try to find maybe you need to try to find a chat or a place where you are able to find people who are making something like you or are interested in the same thing. I think Discord is a good place, but maybe Facebook. The Facebook, you will find many different groups about ZBrush. Whether you can put there your comments or your questions, or you can publish your work or getting some feedback. You can try many places. But I think it's hard to say. Maybe on the ZBrush Central. I think that you already know ZBrush Central. When you go to Google, I already have here the link. You have ZBrush Central. Here you can post your work. Maybe some people, or maybe when you are posting your job, you are requesting feedback from the people, so the people will be able to leave your comments, and maybe it's going to be a good place for having feedback. And also you have a private message system inside of the forum, so maybe you can get even more comments if you are requesting feedback. Hello Siva 3D, welcome. How did I get into the jewelry industry? Oh, well, it was some years ago, maybe almost 20 years ago, by accident, because I was using ZBrush just for making illustrations and for sculpting toys for 3D printing. And through a friend, very good friend of mine, gave me a contact of a jewelry workshop who was looking for people who was using ZBrush, not for jewelry design, but just for having knowledge about ZBrush. And then it was my first contact with the jewelry business, for knowing a lot of people working about the different methods of jewelry techniques. And this is where my interest about jewelry design starts. And for that point, I start trying to learn as more as possible from the professionals, and I start creating jewelry pieces, jewelry designs, and being known as a guy who was using ZBrush applied to jewelry design, and so on. And the rest is a matter of putting time and effort and knowing people and learning from professionals, and that's it. And I work as a freelance from the beginning. Anyone, you're welcome. Perfect. Then get off the stage. Okay. Can you advise something on sculpting dragon wings for jewelry or eagle wings? Yeah, but maybe you can be. It's gonna be better to focus the question on a specific wing, because there are a lot of differences between dragon wings or eagle wings, because eagle wings are always very tricky, because when we're talking about feathers, the feathers takes a lot of time, because it's just a matter of start putting one by one the different feathers for having a good result. And a dragon hasn't feathers, so it's just a matter of sculpting the membrane between the fingers or the bones of the wing. If you can be more specific, I will be glad to make you an example about dragon wing. Maybe it's going to be more interesting for you, and we can talk about dragon wings or birds wings or eagle wings. So it's not necessary to post questions or comments about the job I'm doing now. So you can send in completely different questions as you did, Art, about wings. It's up to you. You can send your comments. Sorry. Any type of eagle? I just want a general idea how to start. Okay. So I have made many wings, eagle wings or bird wings, because this is a very well known, a very common design when you are making pendants, for example, or even rings, or many different designs. I always go to my favorite place for having inspiration or references is Pinterest. And is you can put here, for example, jewelry, eagle wing. I have. You are having many different. Oh, I have found here something. Yeah, something like this, for example. This is a ring. I made something similar like this one, or it's just a matter of, again, let me find a good reference. Maybe this more simplified kind of wing, there are many different styles and many different, or maybe this looks like an articulated pendant. And the best way, in my case, in my opinion, is when I have to do wings, I start from a plane. From a plane, just for having a template, just for using this plane as a template. I'm gonna put this here because it's not gonna be necessary to keep it visible, like this. And just for using and for example, let's make a polymesh. Where are you here? And I use this brush, B and T. Looks like I'm gonna use this topology brush. You can see this. This is a brush that I use very often. This is I think quite old brush. I use this brush for start creating the wings, or I'm sorry, start creating the feathers. So for example, I'm gonna start drawing a feather. So like this, something general shape of feather. So when this brush, what you can do is start drawing curves, and when you start crossing the curves, you're going to start creating polygons. So you can start creating your own topology. So for example, if I cross this, you can have this. You can make it longer. You want to make it longer, just stay in the end of any of the curves like this. You can keep making the stroke longer than before, so keep crossing. And of course, you're looking for subdivide this into 2 polygons. You can cross this and you will get 2 more polygons, but I think it's gonna be enough. Then tapping anywhere, you will get the necessary topology. So now it's gonna be necessary to split the feather from the plane, split mask point. And I have just used the plane as a. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to grab grab a mask lasso. I'm gonna grab this, only this polygons, burn the mask, and I'm going to make it thicker or longer like this. I'm looking for this kind of not flat, but with this angle surface. And from this point, it's just a matter of start creating copies. Control drag. For example, if I grab this, the move brush, to make it shorter like this, you can start. And then control drag, and you start creating. For example, it has more sense moving this way, push it to the back, control drag, push it to the back like this. And for example, you can use now the move topological brush, and then you can just start stacking different feathers till having the shape of the wing you are looking for. And that's it, maybe. This is the idea behind. So this will take a lot of time because the eagle wing is composed by many different feathers of different sizes. So it will be necessary to start creating this row, then make smaller feathers, then create the second row, the third row. Depending on the detail you are looking for, you will need to add more or less rows with different sizes of different feathers, till having the whole composition of the wing. This is the idea behind of this. Well, the wings or feathers takes a lot of time, because it takes a lot of effort, because for having good results, of course. So if you are looking for something very simple, maybe you are thinking about alphas or any other method, but I think, in my opinion, works much better this. Then when you start subdividing your mesh, you will get the right shape of the feather. And once you have all the feathers in place, it's gonna be time to start sculpting the texture on the feathers one by one again. So feathers are a nightmare when you're having a commission about feathers, but at the end it will worth the time you are putting during the composition on the sculpting process. What do you think are big differences between making toys and jewelry for printing? I also make toys. Yeah, there is a huge difference, because when we talk about jewelry, we are we are talking about, well, it depends, but most of the time we are talking about it's more expensive product than a toy, and because we are talking about completely different materials. When we are creating jewelry, we are always thinking about different metals or precious stones. We're gonna create a product which its cost is going to be most of the time very high or high. So maybe for toys, maybe it is not so important for having under control the measurement during the creation process. You are more worried about the shapes and how beautiful the thing you are sculpting looks like. But when we are creating a jewelry design, we are always thinking about the weight. We are in terms of the kind of metal we are going to use, because it's going to be more or less costly, because we are about to create a gold piece. It's going to be very costly, because today the gold is very expensive. So we should be thinking about the thicknesses. The thicknesses, for example, is going to be very important when we are sculpting something. You are going to need to make everything always hollow inside to avoid to remove as more material as possible. The focus is completely different when you are creating a toy now and when you are creating a jewelry piece, depending on the kind of jewelry you are about to create. But if you are talking about high jewelry or jewelry who is going to be casted in gold, the way of working is completely different than if you are creating pieces which are going to be cast in silver, for example. But maybe I recommend to you can review all of my previous streaming when I was talking about this during my individual design I was making on the past. And more questions. I love for having questions and comments. Thank you. Harsh, I'm very glad to have been helpful for you, Harsh. Comic Legends, with your experience in jewelry, have you created templates with measurement? No, I never created any. I think, in my opinion, they are not useful. In my opinion, because I mean that they are not useful because you are not saving a big amount of time using templates. I think because the time that you're gonna need to create a different template for a different design, it's gonna be very low. So it's not gonna be. For example, it could be useful. For example, if you are having a commission of a collection of jewelry design where you are gonna need to create many different ring sizes, many different pendant sizes or brooch sizes or earring sizes. In that case, maybe it's gonna be useful for start making template for saving time during the process of creating different sizes or different version of the same design. But for example, most of the time what I'm doing is just custom designs, not a very collection or big collection. So for me, it's not very useful. Because and about what kind of pack are you thinking about? Maybe ring sizes, or maybe I don't know what. Because I was thinking about this before when I was starting some years ago, creating ring templates for the ring sizes and like this. But I think, in my opinion, it's not a big advantage, and it's like offer a product and start thinking about earn money selling a product who is not going to be very productive. So I prefer to be here explaining what I'm doing and trying to transmit you or give you the knowledge about how to set up the right size or the right measurement for a ring or for a stone setting instead of giving you a product and request your money. I never make the renders on my live streams here, at least here on the Maxon ZBrush channel. Maybe on my channel I will consider to make the render, because I really enjoy the rendering process in Keyshot, because this design deserves a good render. Maybe I will stream the rendering process on my personal YouTube channel. Also, I asked you earlier about your in Vertex. It is going to start in recent time, because maybe in Vertex, maybe I will talk with them after summer. We will try to think about a new release of the same course. Maybe could be in autumn, maybe in October, maybe, or November, I don't know. Today is just an idea, but I will try to talk with them and let's see they still consider that it is still interesting for their students and for their public. But I will try to talk with them. If I release it again, I will post it on my social media, of course. Thank you very much, Comic Legend, for your questions. You are welcome. So what I was doing before, so we were talking about this back work, but before start working on the back, there are some things to do on the front, because here it is almost finished, unless the grass part. This is the grass. We're going to add two elements here, who is going to be, again I forgot the name, it's going to be curve or engrave. I'm sorry, engraving. The engraving. This is the line that are going to be engraving. So this mimics more or less the idea that I have in my mind now, like a piece of gold plated, or maybe the gold plated is not going to be possible if they are going to be engraved. I will need to talk with the jeweler, but because the idea is for having different metals, like on the design I made, the original idea, this one, where I have white gold, or in this case, for not having a so expensive piece, silver, white, and yellow here on the grass. So in this case, this piece and this piece are going to be casted individually as individual parts. So if we talk about individual part, we should start thinking about the assembling process, or how we are going to put everything together for having the whole piece. And this is the reason why I having this open space here, because we're gonna fit another metal piece here, just for assembling this piece into here and into this part. And what I have is this just the blocking I made on the previous streamings, but it's gonna be necessary to start creating a more accurate fitting between the panther and the frame. I think it's gonna be enough for having this. This is already a dynamis. Oh, I made the dynamis here by mistake, because both are joined together. I welded, and maybe what I can do is let's see. Let's try to separate them, or maybe I can come back to the previous version. I think I remember well, the previous version was separated pieces. I'm gonna add it to the list here. Let's start working on this before. Let's turn. We're not going to use any color, and this we are just having a block. But as the block, I was working on the block for having a good fitting against the frame. Instead of starting from scratch with a new piece, I think it's gonna be better to start working with this piece. This is, it is not, we can destroy it. The previous work is not necessary, but now I'm going to, it is 1 million polygon. This is a very dense mesh. So what I can do is I can geometry, dynamis. It is 80 resolution. If I control drag, now it is too loud. Let's increase the resolution. Let's increase the resolution a little bit more. I think like this. Now I can start polishing this. I already have here a polygroup. I don't need this polygroup. Ctrl W for making only one polygroup. And now here we're having a block of material is going to be necessary. I think I'm going to need the body of the panther or start creating boolean. So I'm going to create a duplicate. The duplicate should be inside of the folder of the right section of the design. In this case, it should be here. And I want to see it. Turn this off. If I turn this on, if let's turn this off like this. This should be underneath like this. Now here you can see where I'm going to need to cut. Where is the limit of the panther? I already have the limits of the frame with this subtool. With this subtool, you can see here, this subtool is cutting this, and this part of the piece that I need. And here maybe it is going like this. Maybe it's gonna be necessary to adjust it for having a good fitting. Like this. Let's see. I'm going to use the H polish to start polishing this surface. Now I'm working with Dynamesh because I'm just blocking forms. I'm just trying to give the right shape of to the block. So at this point I'm not worried yet about the topology, because the topology at this point is not important. Maybe you can see here, this should be here. Maybe I can cut this part, maybe with the clip curve brush, for example, like this, cutting this and cutting the bottom part. This maybe I cut the bottom part as well. So this is a good thing about working with Dynamesh. When you are we just need to block out the forms you need. You're having this issue with Dynamesh, the Sculpting Pro is very helpful. You can turn on the Sculpting Pro, smooth it, and you will get that. And Dynamesh is very good when you are sketching forms, when you are just like when we talk about jewelry, maybe there are some jeweler here. When you are working with a piece of wax, a block of wax, and you start cutting or removing the unwanted parts of the block with a knife or with a saw, it's like you are removing part. This is I think, in my opinion, the most similar way of working is Dynamesh or Sculpting Pro, and where the topology is not important because you are just looking for a shape. You're not the polygons and the topology is not important. Okay, I'm the same time I'm talking, I'm thinking in another way of doing this, because maybe the way that I choose for having this union, this fitting between these two elements, it is not very accurate. Maybe what I'm gonna do is I'm going to remove this because I don't want to use this anymore. So I'm gonna come back to the panther because the panther is not 100% finished yet. And just for having a clean cut here, because at this point it's not important for having this arc or this. So it's time for, yet we are having time for changing things. So maybe we can try to make it more something like this. And I'm going to insert here a cylinder just for using a primitive with accurate and clean surfaces. Insert cylinder. Let's rotate it 90 degrees. This view, make it smaller like this, and let's make it, and then let's try to use this cylinder as the cut of the. If I turn this on, maybe we are creating a completely clean and perfect cut here. Maybe we can make it longer like this, and we are just removing this little piece. Okay, like this. Let's add that more resolution. Instead of subdivide the mesh, I like to work with dynamic subdivision. So group by normals first. We are having 3 different polygroups: front, side, and back. Now crease polygroups and turn on dynamic subdivision. So we are having the render or how it looks like with real subdivision, but without physical subdivision. It's like we are rendering how the mesh looks like once subdivided, but without subdivide the mesh. So it's a way for saving resources from the computer, because we are not working with real polygons. So you can see here the active points remains the same, but looks smoother than before. Let's subdivide like this, and we will get this perfect cut between this. Okay, when you do a rendering of my product, do you let the client know that? I don't recommend you to send renders to your client, because when we are talking about rendering, we are talking about a digital product. So most of the times, we can say 95 or 98% of the time, the render doesn't look like as the physical piece. So it's a little bit dangerous for giving non-realistic or higher expectation to your client. And for me, the renders are just part of my artistical process, what I enjoy in the time I put on the rendering process. But I try to avoid realistic renderings to the clients, because the clients knows how the piece is going to look like, because they are having the right experience about the casting, about the polishing, so they know how the piece is going to look like in the physical piece. But I don't recommend you to send realistic renderings during the creation process or during the work in progress stages of the design. Just send them, as you said, grayscale versions with as less shadows or as less effects as possible, because the client is just looking for how the piece looks like in terms of technical aspects. It is big enough, it's thick enough, the weight is going to be very important compared to the digital, to the final or the beauty pass of the final rendering product. So try to avoid to send renderings to most of the time I just send this kind of render with different views of the piece: front, side, quarter view, depending of the kind of design you are doing, and that's it. Because depending on the kind of client, maybe you can have problems, because the client, you are giving more information than necessary to the client. The client is just looking for maybe how beautiful the design you are doing looks like, and in most of the time when we are talking about jewelry, the weight of the piece. Let's see about 3D for design that are hollow. How do you create calculated thickness with precision? Okay, and I make an example of that question. Let me save this first. This is the only external software that I use, different than ZBrush. For that process, the process you are talking about, the hollowing process, I use Mesh Mixer, this plugin. Yeah, I'm sorry, this external software. It is from Autodesk. As far as I know, it is a free software. I don't know, because I downloaded and installed it many years ago. I don't know if it is still available as a free software. I think yes. And it is a very powerful software where you can do a lot of things with it, but the only knowledge that I have about it is for making things hollow inside. For example, if I have the panther, the body of the panther, it's this piece, and I need to make it hollow inside, the first thing that we should do is don't export this mesh with almost 1 million, because Mesh Mixer doesn't like so many polygons, so to decimate it first. Let's see, 150k, just for making a quick example for you. Comic Line, do you ever do it? Yeah, 3D of the product that it's a final sizing. Yes. Depending on the kind of design that I'm doing, it's a good habit or a good option for having the chance for making a prototype before going to the final piece, because most of you are having less expensive 3D printers for making prototypes than the final product that you are going to use for the casting. So it's going to be better for find possible mistakes or possible issues before send it to the most expensive printing, or finding the problems when you have the piece casted. So you need to print it again, cast it again, and you're going to lose. You're going to spend unnecessary money. So for example, with the design that needs a lot of fittings between different parts or different pieces, it's going to be a good idea for making a prototype before send the piece for the definitive wax printing or casting. It's a very good idea, depending on the kind of design, of course, because we are always talking about saving money. If it is not going to be necessary and you are very sure that you are not going to have problems on the printing and on the casting, it's not necessary to spend that money for the prototype, but in some cases it's going to be useful and necessary. So this is the piece already decimated. If we go to the scale master, just for checking the scale, this is 27 millimeter from top to bottom. So let's export this. I'm going to export this as a panther body, for example. Where I am here. This is the panther body. I export it in OBJ format, right? So now we go to Max Mixer, import. Right, where I am here, and panther body, and this is what I get. And we go inside of Max Mixer, edit, hollow, and Max Mixer makes your hollow automatically. This is the default settings. It are 2mm wall thickness. If you are looking for thinner wall thickness, for example 0.8mm, and you are looking for a more accuracy of the solid internal shell, you can control this slider. And you are looking for more dense mesh. I used to put this to slider here till its maximum. I don't care about the other values, don't care about them, so I just adjust the offset. The offset means the wall thickness, solid accuracy, and mesh density, and update the new hollow. It's a matter of time now, waiting for the calculation. As more polygons you have, as more accuracy you are looking for, you will need more time for waiting. But you can see here it's not taking minutes, it's just with seconds you're having a hollow piece inside. And here inside of Max Mixer, I don't make the opening. I just be worried about the offset and the accuracy of the internal object. What I do is I accept the operation and I export back with overwriting the previous file. Do you want to overwrite it? Yes. Now we are about to export a mesh composed by two elements: the external wall, the external shell, and the internal shell. The external mesh and internal mesh. And now once I come back to ZBrush, for example here, I import the file we just created, and I split the two elements, the internal and the external. I'm going to split to parts. Always okay. And now we are having the external and internal. The strange thing about the internal is that we are having the flipped the mesh is flipped. That means that we are just watching the mesh from the inside. We are not watching the external, the normals of the mesh. It's as easy as going to display properties and flip the mesh. And now what I do is, if you want to make the opening, for example, you can grab the back part, for example this, make a mesh, make an extrusion, and you will get this. And now now it's time to start making like booleans or booleans between the different elements. And now you will get the shell with a 0.8 millimeter wall thickness. You can do this, or for example, if you are looking for, let's see, you are looking for make an opening with a more artistical way. You can, for example, let's grab a cylinder like this. Let's split max points. This should be a little bit more inside, and maybe you can start making copies. Let's make it bigger, make it smaller, or making a drawing that I did for my design. Or you can do this, for example, like and now, for example, now you can start adjust them with the topological. Here you can start adjusting like leopard spots, or I don't know. This depend on the thing you are looking for, what your customer is requesting to you. For example, you can do this. So this should be underneath this one. This is negative, this is negative, and you have this with an opening, more artistical opening instead of a big window. So send it out to back mixer, make it hollow, send it back to ZBrush, and start making booleans with different elements. And this is that's it. Now one more trick that I can, or one more, I don't like to call them trick because I didn't invent anything. Everything is already invented. So you can do, for example, you're having this is very common when we are talking about jewelry, when I'm doing something wrong. This should be here. You're having this, very common when you are having a hollow piece like this, hollow part. You are gonna need a second part or second piece who is going to cover the hollow shell, because at the end the piece looks like solid, but it is not solid, it's hollow inside. But you're gonna need a cover, or I don't know how to call this, a tap, or I don't know how to call this. Is as easy as when you're having the positive, the external, the body, the main shape, and the internal shell with the offset. You just need to change from this icon to this icon. I did something wrong. Let's check. Something is not working. Oh yeah. I'm gonna need this. I forgot one step. You have this. The first step, of course, is making the boolean mesh. You're having this part. It's already. This one should be here. No, this one should be on top, because you know that the booleans depends on like this. I'm making something wrong. I'm trying to explain you something and I'm making the thing more confusing than necessary. Let me see the order. Because I'm trying to get the cover, but I don't know why it is not possible to do. Here, this is the positive. Let me see, because this is the body of the panther, this is the subtraction, right? No, this is not the subtraction. This is the subtraction. This is the subtraction. Yes, and this is the other. With this doesn't work. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. you import the hollowed out piece from mesh mixer back and so does it retain? Yeah, always is retaining the same sizing. It should retain the sizing because you are giving to Max Mixer one piece of this size and you're making the wall thickness of 0.8. When you are coming back to ZBrush, you are still having the same size with a 0.8 wall thickness. I don't know if you had any problems in the past about this. Okay, I'm thinking about what I'm doing wrong, but I think you can do this. When you have this, you have this part. You have the good thing about this is that you are having different polygroups, and you select this, you Control Shift, tap this, you delete the hidden and close holes. I'm sorry, first you have to flip it and now close holes. And now you're having this. This is the part that you need, the surface, because this part is going to, with the positive visible, this part is going to cover exactly the same. Will fit exactly with the same opening. So in this case, it's going to be very useful for having the necessary piece who is going to cover the opening of the hollowed piece. Right? So just managing the different polygroups. So let me come back to the design. Yeah. We were working on the pattern. And let me check if I missed any of your comments. No, it's already answered. Looks like yes. Okay, so now we are having here what I need to know. Now here we have the piece who is going to make this cut. Okay, but for the graphs, it's time to start drawing on the screen. So we're gonna need another piece here. Where it's going to be. Okay, so the cylinder that we currently have is having this shape. Who is cutting the panther? But we are gonna need this is cutting the panther into this direction, but we are going to need another cylinder or another shape. In this case, it's not going to be a cylinder. Who is going to need to? It's going to be necessary to cut the external part of the curve for the yellow piece that we are about to create, right? And this is going to be very useful working with live booleans and working with primitives, because it's going to be as easy as making a duplicate. This, we're gonna need the cylinder here, or the master cut, or the master cylinder. You can put here like this. You can see we are gonna need to, let's remove that, hide the panther. It's gonna be necessary to remove this portion with this precise cut, and we are going to have a perfect fitting between both within the both elements, the panther and the gold piece who is going to be engraved with a grass pattern. So we are working on the cylinder. We have different polygroups. Remember that we made the polygroups before, so Control Shift and tap on this polygroup and delete hidden. We are going to use only this skin or only this surface of the polygon. We turn on the double. This is what we have. And the very cool thing about this dynamic subdivisions is that you have the chance for working with thickness. So you can add thickness to any surface, and in this case, and in many cases, in my workflow, is very, very useful. For example, here we can start adding thickness, more, less thickness, all thick. And now we can control the offset of the thickness. In this case, the right value is 100. You can see it. By default, it stays in the middle. So that means that we are extruding the same amount of thickness to both sides, and we can control to the one side or to the other side. In this case, this is going to be very important because we can use this as a thickness, and we are going to have this if we turn on the Panther with this, and I think that the folders are not working properly because maybe it's going to be necessary to. This is one thing that I found weird because I don't know why even working with these arrows now it works. You know that the arrows, you can turn on and turn off these little arrows to start creating subtraction, in this case subtraction or live boolean groups. That means that you want to create an operation between this group, so we are going to need an arrow here and another arrow here, because the subtool which are underneath here is going to affect the others who are on top of the next arrow. For example, here, if I turn this on, you can see everything changes, and now we have a perfect fit between both parts. But when we are talking about assembling, it's going to be necessary to apply a little offset between both elements. And this is another advantage that you have if you work with live booleans. Now we have 92. If we apply 95, 98, like this, maybe 97, because on a screen everything fits perfectly, but when we are printing and when we are casting, because in jewelry we have more processes. When we were talking about toy design. When toy design, you are gonna print the master copy, and then you're gonna start molding and start making replicas or copies from the original, from the masterpiece. That you're gonna start shrinking the piece during the copying process. With jewelry happens something similar, but even if we have one extra step till the final product between the printing and the final product, which is the casting. So it's going to be necessary to apply a little offset between all the pieces that needs a fitting between them. Check. Let me fit this because I'm finding a mistake here. Okay, it's done. Maybe here. Maybe it's necessary to fit this a little bit better with the more topological. I'm sorry if my English is not good enough for explaining technical processes or technical things. I try to find the right words and the easiest way for explaining something, but in many cases I'm having the feeling that I'm trying to explain something very complex with a very poor language, but yeah, I try to do my best. It should be here on top. And now we are start having a good fitting between each. And I think it's going to be necessary to do something similar, but with this piece it's going to be more simpler because I have this piece which I can use it for cutting the right shape of this second piece of grass. Because as I said before, this is going to be engraved, so manually. So you can see with the engraving, you are using a tool like a knife with this shape. When you are cutting the different I don't know how to say it, there's a different path, and you are having this kind of shape on the path like this, and you're having two vertical walls which are reflecting the lights both sides. So you're having this one in the middle is this point, and you're having this point here, and this point correspond to this. So you're having maybe sometimes it's much better to use images instead of words. Let me see, but you said engraving, engrave it. You will read. It is very common find this kind of work job in the watches, for example. This manually engrave it. This. It's like you are cutting out the metal and having very shiny strokes or lines on the metal. Some of them are made most of the time make them manually. You are having much better results than if you print them, because you are having the strokes or the paths shines much more when you are making the strokes or the cuts with this jewelry engraving tools like this. This is the idea that I have in this part, or having a contrast between when you're having this. The idea is for having matte here, not bright surface, and very bright surface, for having a good contrast between, or having a nice grass texture with night reflections on the surface. This is the idea of the behind of what I'm saying. Underneath, cool. Thanks to you for making me question. Comic Legends, is the offset always the same, or do some detail metal shrink? Yes. Depending on the kind of metal, each metal is having, depending on different factors, the metal itself, the machines that you are using for casting the pieces, also the 3D printing that you are using, also the resin or the wax that you are using. There are many factors which are involved on the shrinking process, the shrinking problems or issues. Yes. No, as far as I know, I don't know that if it already exists a list of offsets. One thing that I learned during the years I've been working on the jewelry industry is the knowledge or the values or the information is sometimes is quite difficult to find, because it's more kind of trial and error based on the experience of the jewelers and the professionals. Each professional is having their own interpretation and their own criteria about offsets, about shrinkage, about printing. It's quite difficult to try to find one magic number or one magic rule which works always, because I have found that depend on the person or depend of the jeweler, they are having completely different criteria or completely different tricks or ways of working. Maybe this should be maybe gonna fit, not a perfect match, because we are looking for that the grass is on top in front of the panther. Maybe a little step between each other. I think it's gonna be good like this. I think we are having this piece ready, and we are gonna need this another piece. With this piece, maybe we can use the other I was doing before, this one. If we come back to the list, let's insert maybe insert here, insert. And for this, I'm going to, as I said before, maybe first of all, we're working with 1 million. We are not going to need so many polygons. Working with less polygons is going to be easier for polishing the surface. So control drag. Now we're having a little bit more. Okay, 120,000 polygons, around 120,000. So let's polish it. Let's just start polishing the surface. I used to call this brush the H polish. That's the file brush or sandpaper brush. Remember that you're having a depression like this. For example, if I make a depression here and you are looking forward to a completely flat surface, you can see just of polishing the surface, you are still having this. In some cases, it's easier to fill the depression before keep polishing the surface. As easy as use the Alt key, and now you will get this, and now you can keep polishing the surface. It's like you are polishing the surface with a negative value, so you are lifting the surface. In some cases, could be very useful. Hola Santiago, bienvenidos. No, nunca es tarde. Luego lo puedes revisitar el vídeo luego cuando se suba. Bienvenido, Santiago. Hello. I noticed the piece that matches with the body is a hemstone. Are you referring to this or to this? Maybe I'm going to show you the original design or the sketch that I made. This is not a hemstone. This is going to be a. The idea is a piece of gold or a gold-plated piece. In conclusion, it's a different piece, a different metal. So we have one here and another one here that I decided to add during the designing process. This is not a stone. This is not it's different pieces of different metals, which is going to be necessary to be assembled or to be fitted with a soldering process or with the screws from the back. Let's see what I do. The only idea that it's a stone is the panther itself. Hand carved stone, of course, is not going to be hand carved because it's going to be very expensive. Maybe today we can think about 3D printing and molding with stone powder resin for getting kind of real onyx or real black stone looking, but it is not going to be a real hand carved stone like these ones, which are carved with a block of real stone, or this one, because we are looking for something similar but cheaper, less expensive. So, oops. So for making the cut or the fitting, we are gonna need a copy of this part. We can, let me check if we have polygroups. Perfect, we have polygroups. We are gonna repeat the same process. Let's duplicate it. Let's change the position, and this needs to be negative. Let's hide this. And we are gonna need another arrow here because we are gonna make two groups inside of the one folder. And for making the right offset, we're gonna repeat the same operation as before. I'm gonna use this for any, I think. Okay, we have different polygroups here. Okay, but okay, it's no problem. It's gonna be enough, this piece. So we can delete hidden. Vertices can be deleted from a subdivision mail while the lowest. Okay, I'm having subdivision levels. Maybe I'm gonna remove the hires. Delete higher like this, and now we can delete hidden. Let me see how it looks like. The topology is looks good. Dynamic subdivision without the smoothing, with thickness. This is the problem with this is the problem that you can get when you are not having a very good or a very clean topology when you try to extrude a surface with thickness. Maybe can be a problem or maybe not. Let's see. We decided first that the right offset was 97. You can see changing the offset, you are having something doesn't look like very good, but I think it's going to be enough. Very strange. Let me see. Okay. In this case, it's not going to be 97. It's going to be minus 97, negative, like this. And maybe like 5, because I'm being confused with the tail. Maybe we can change the value. 97, we decided minus 96, maybe a little bit less, maybe 95. Maybe less. You can see that the same value doesn't work the same as before. I think like this is gonna be good enough. And you can see the cut. If I turn this on, this is the cut we are getting. Looks a bit weird, but as I am just interested on this island, this piece, I don't care about the other pieces. I think once we make the boolean, it's going to be good enough. Let's check it. So for example, we need to hide this one, and let's make the boolean folder, and let's see the result. The result is going to be problems. We are having the opposite. Something wrong is happening here. Let's see, because what I'm seeing on the screen, when I'm making the boolean, ZBrush is making the opposite. Is giving to me this hidden part and not this. Maybe one solution could be apply the dynamic subdivision first before making the live boolean. Let's see now if it works. Oh no. That was my mistake. I was wrong. Let me undo it. I was pushing the wrong button. Undo. Okay. Because here you can see making boolean mesh. You can see you're having here another button. It is dynamic subdivision. As we are using that, the dynamic subdivision is involved on the boolean operation. It's going to be necessary to keep this active. So now give me the boolean. The boolean operation is a warning. Oh, no, looks like maybe when I'm having this issue, what I do is close holes. Sometimes when you are using Dynamesh, ZBrush is giving to you this problem. Let's see now. Now yes, now it's working. You can see most of the time close holes fix all the problems, because see, for any reason, ZBrush is not able to complete the boolean operation because some little polygons are missed. So we are not having a watertight mesh. The mesh is broken, and this is what we get. And now we have we have a problem. The problem I'm having here because the negative mesh doesn't cut the whole piece. So remove this, and I think this one is going to be necessary to make it thicker, like this. Let's see now. One more time. Oh, almost. Because I think delete. I'm gonna make it thinner. Control drag. And now let's see if we are having success now. I think that this little contact point, I don't know, let's see, could be a problem. Maybe it's gonna be a better idea if we avoid this. We make it thick. We will get a more regular piece with less problems. I think it's gonna be better. One more time, boolean. Now yes. And now we can delete. We can control drag with the transpose classic. We can do this, hide and delete it. Now we are having the right shape with good fitting. Okay, so we are having the right piece. I'm gonna check the depth because we are having the guilloche, the pattern. Maybe here we can have problems because you know that this part of the design is gonna work as a pool, as a box for the enamel, because the piece is going to be covered, this back part is going to be covered by blue tinted enamel, and we are going to need a minimum depth of 0.6 millimeter to avoid problems with the enamel pouring. We are having here 0.8 millimeter. Looks like it's good enough, but you can see here is almost having the same height of the, that means that maybe it should be taller. Maybe it could be as easy as make it thicker, even more like this. I think we are gonna have better results with this. It is not going to be necessary to be so tall here. So let's grab the polish brush. So the piece is not going to be 100% flat, so it's gonna have a more organic shape like this. Maybe should need to lift a little bit this part. Because the enamel is gonna reach this, so these points are going to be fully covered with the enamel. So we are gonna need minimum safety space for the wall of the pool. Okay, now this is good enough. I'm still not worried about the topology, but maybe at some point it's going to be necessary to enhance a bit the topology, but I think it's going to be enough. It's going to be something like this. That's safe. Comments. Welcome. Is there a program that it's better than ZBrush? Well, hard to say. This is the only software that I use is ZBrush, because for me it's going to be difficult to say if anyone is better. I think it's just a matter of personal tastes. on what do you need. So each program is having their own strength. So, but ZBrush is having a lot of positive points. But for me, it's the best. Good evening, Jair, 9089. Hi, Sebach, Domanian. Sorry if I'm not pronouncing your name properly. Good to see you again too here. Jair, 89. Is there something special about the lines and the whole of the animal? The pattern looks cool. Something special? No, nothing special. It was a pattern that I found on Pinterest. I think it was wallpaper, like this one, and I loved the pattern, and I replicated with inside of ZBrush for use it as a deluge pattern, like this one. You can see here, you can see through the clear enamel the metal patterns through here. The idea is for having something like this. So where you're having a metal surface with a pattern, and you cover it with enamel, most of the time tinted enamel, in this case with red tinted enamel, and you're having this kind of patterns with a shiny surface, and looks very cool. And this is the idea, to put this here on the back of the design. That's the idea behind it. Let's see how it works on the render. We will try to replicate this effect on the render with different elements. Yeah, the enamel is see-through because it's going to be clear enamel, just tinted, but in this case with blue color. Okay, so I will need one more thing for this piece. I'm going to insert cube because it's going to be necessary to create the back cut, the cut on at the back. So let's make it bigger, let's make it thinner. I like to change the topology when I'm using cubes because I don't like the geometry. So groups by normal first, and now you can go to ZBrush, keep the groups, don't apply any smoothing to the groups. So give me the double. So that's it. I'm hitting many times to the ZBrush instead of subdividing the mesh. So I'm having this. And this one should be here with a negative, and you can see here I'm cutting the back part of this piece. As before, I'm gonna need a little room between each surface, a little offset. Here it's hard to see if I turn this off. If I turn this off, now I'm watching here better the offset between each piece. In this case, this offset is not going to be so important than the other because we are just putting one piece on top of the other, so we are not fitting the things together, so following curves on strange shapes. Maybe here I need to make it longer. I need to create a duplicate of this one. This one should be here, like this. So this is the little piece of metal. I think I'm going to need what's on the back of this one as well. So the reference, let's duplicate the cube we made before, so duplicate it. This one should be here with negative. Should be here more to you can see that I use a lot live boolean way of working. it is a non-destructive way of working. We are working when we can see the results very quickly, but we are having room for fixing things, or we are not creating definitive. Here we are creating something streets. Oh, yeah. Because this one should be here. The arrow should be here. If I turn this on and turn this on. This one. When you start having many different subtools, sometimes it's hard to understand what you are doing, because the position of the subtools are very important, and when you are making booleans, because the order of the different subtools are very important. I think like this. I think it's going to be necessary to turn on this subtool, but not all. Only the subtool which is going to work as a surface. This one. This one. Maybe I can come back to the Panther and turn this off, because it's going to lay here. Should be aligned with this. This is going to be enough. And also it's going to be necessary to make the cut on the guilloche of all this space. Maybe we can make a duplicate of this one. Put it here with negative, and with we need to create the offset. In some cases, it's very useful to inflate the piece. You know that you can use the Control key and start inflating the mesh, or having this. So you can see that maybe the offset is very high. And also we are still using a very low resolution mesh. Maybe it's time for getting more resolution and more polygons. No. I'm looking for 500,000, more or less. Gonna be a good number, I think, like this. Let's polish it, and now we can create an offset. This is what we are getting. We are cutting the back part. Maybe it's not going to be very problematic. A lot of things to fit, but but the problem we are having here is this curve is not straight, so maybe we can have some problems. What I'm gonna do is, we're having polygroups. I'm going to create different polygroups here on the back. 1/3 polygroup, because now you can see we only have 2. And with the slice curve, we can slice. So we're having 1 more polygroup. We can apply a loop on the polygroup, on the border of the polygroup, edge loop. Let's polish it like this, and now we can create a mask of this. Maybe for having this 100% straight surface, and maybe the original going to be necessary to be I made something wrong here. I think we should think about this, because here the problem that we have here is that we're gonna have a problem, because here, can you see here, these walls, the walls are having this, are more or less, this is a bit exaggerated, this, we're having something like this. So we are trying to fit something from this shape is not going to work. So this should be more something completely the opposite, like this, because we try to fit one thing against the other. This cut that we have here, it's because the shape of this block, we're having this problem, and this is not realistic. Maybe it's gonna be necessary to change it, to work a little bit more here on this piece for having a better fitting, for having this, where we are gonna looking for a good fit, one thing against the male and female fitting. We need this while we're having this now, so we need to remake or think about a little bit more on this piece. So, okay, let's put this aside, because I don't want to be here making this a whole thing. So let's stop this part, and let's turn on the pattern again. This is one of the things that I like the most about jewelry design, is how challenging the things could be when we are designing and when you are sculpting, because you should be thinking about many different things, the fitting, the thicknesses, the distances, the weight, many different things. I think this is one part that I love about jewelry. Maybe you can find it boring or annoying, but this kind of challenges, this is one of the things that I like the most about jewelry design, because it's like it's a mix of when you are watching a jewelry piece, or even more if you are watching a high jewelry piece, high-end high jewelry design. The job that there is behind is huge in terms of the people who are involved on creating only one piece, different techniques, the different aspects during the manufacturing process. This is one of the things that I found more interesting about jewelry design, the challenging part of the process. Okay, let me save it. I'm going to paint this piece, this part again. Reload it. Save. How did I make the pattern? Okay, the first thing that comes to my mind was to just grab the piece, this reference image I found, and I made this using Photoshop. I made this pattern, copying this pattern and trying to making it repetitive or tellable, and I had this. Then I tried to use this as a mask and then extract from a mask. The idea was this before, and I get this. I got this. Just using this, the image I just showed you before, using as a mask, and then when you have a mask, extract the mask. So the previous work, or the tedious work, or the hardest work was trying to replicate this pattern inside of Photoshop, but I didn't like the shape, or this is quad wire shape, and I decided to change it, and I start with a cube, starting with a cube, extruding the different faces, changing the angle, bending the cube, bending the faces till getting this piece, and I start copying and repeating and matching the pattern I made inside of Photoshop till getting this. And maybe I already have this. I think it's this one. No, this one is the one. It's not this one. It's this one. This one. You can see here, making different copies. You can see here, if I turn this off, you can see the different subtools till getting the pattern I was looking for. So once I was happy. This was the reference. I was using just as a reference, as a template, just making copies from the same one block, so matching all of them together to having the right repetitive pattern. So when I was happy with the result, merge everything together, and this is what I used here. The important thing about this is knowing the thickness of this, because from the original, you can see here my original design, having this. The idea was having maybe thinner wires or thinner parts of metal and bigger empty spaces between each wire or each line. But when we try to transform an idea into a ready for manufacturing or realistic piece, I found that it wasn't possible, because the minimum thickness, if we are looking for a good success, even maybe we can have some problems here because this window is little, maybe it's very, very small, but the minimum wire is, maybe it is now, let's see, it is 0.6 millimeter for having success. Less than 0.6 millimeter, maybe 0.5, maybe you can have good results, but making them thinner, you can have problems. So this is the reason why they are so thick as they are now, instead of like my original sketch. And that's it. And more questions? A lot of work, yes. Yeah, a lot of work. Yeah, was just a matter of time. Once you found the right position and the right location of each piece, it's just a matter of copy and move, and then you have you are having the pattern. Okay. Here it is saying, do you charge per hour or per project? I charge per project depending on the complexity, but the quotation or the price of the project is based on time, of course, depending on the kind. For example, we were talking about before an eagle or eagle designs applied to jewelry. Maybe the ring could be simple in terms of it is not having a lot of elements, a lot of stones, or it is not very big as a small piece, but you are looking for having a very good result on the feathers. It's going to take a lot of time, so in that case it's going to be much more expensive, one eagle ring, than a dragon ring, I think, because when you need to create all of the feathers, it's going to take a lot of time, so this is going to be expected on the price. Is there a lot of problem solving throughout the process? There can be a lot of hours spent. Yes, because at the end is the only solution and the only answer that you can find, a realistic answer and useful, is trial and error. So you need to try it. You find that with the idea that you were having doing something, it doesn't work, you need to start over again to find a new solution, and there is where your learning process starts. Learning most of the time from your mistakes than from your success. Yeah, and when we talk about jewelry, that happens many times. And this is another thing that I love about jewelry, because how challenging it is, because you can find a lot of problems and a lot of mistakes, and in some cases it's quite difficult to find the solution, because as I said before, maybe the first thing that comes to your mind is to ask to the people, to the professional or to another jeweler, but most of the time is not having the right answer. I don't know why, but they are not giving to you the right answer, because there isn't one answer. Maybe there could be more, or the answer depends on many different factors or aspects, but at the end, having success, when you're having a very good jewelry piece, finish it, you are much more happy than with another kind of design, I think, or job. It's just my personal opinion. Is there extensive revision of the project from the client you trust? It will depend on, for example, if would you try to give your first quotation of the project that you are receiving? At that point, try to be as more specific as possible in terms of try to cover all the possible scenarios that you can have during the designing process. Because if you fix a price for something and during the designing process the client starts changing the direction of the design, maybe in that moment you can have problem, because you're gonna work more time than necessary. But try to cover all of those scenarios before giving the final price. Try to speak with the customer, request as many information as possible, request possible future updates or enhancements that the design could have, and try to prevent those possible changes in the future. Maybe during your work as a freelance, you start knowing your clients, and you know that some clients are just requesting you what they want from the beginning till the end, and it's very easy to give them a fixed price. But other clients, when you start knowing your clients, and you know that one client always start giving ideas during the modeling process or the designing process, and you need to consider that at the beginning of the process, and you should increase the price for that client. It's just a matter, as we were talking about before, about any other aspects. This is another aspect when we talk about working as a freelance. But for example, when always try to tell us or to advise to your clients, the fix is fixed, the price is fixed by this specification we were talking about before. Any specification which is different than the others that we agreed at the beginning, it's going to have an extra charge. If we talk the thing at the beginning, you are not going to have problems, and that's it. It's just a matter of be transparent, try to be as more consistent as possible when you are given the prices, and try to request as many information as possible. Hola Carlos, bienvenido. Carlos Andrés, bienvenido al directo. But I always try to give you a realistic answer, but most of the time the answer comes from your personal experiences. That means that the answer that I'm trying to give you are based on my personal experience. This doesn't mean that other designer or other a sculptor is having a completely different way of thinking, but depends on the clients, depends on the market, depends on the kind of product you are doing. But I think the magical rule here is more flexible as possible, and always be transparent and be professional. Then you are not going to have a lot of problems with those, with the clients and with the product, with you, in terms of working more time than necessary. Okay, 4 minutes to go. I appreciate your support during the live. I'm gonna leave you here my link tree. Let me find it. You know that on the link tree you will find all of my websites. You can keep sending me questions or comments. I will be happy to help you as more as I can, to give you more advice about something, about jewelry techniques or ZBrush problems you are having, or personal opinion about what you are doing, give you feedback, whatever you need. You can reach me through my website, on ArtStation, YouTube channel, my Instagram, my Facebook pages, my Twitter or my X, Behance, LinkedIn, and many other places. I will copy this. You will get it on the chat, and you go to my website under the resources. Maybe here you will find different resources about alphas, keyshot materials. Inside of the tutorials you will have access to all of my ZBrush like compilation of streamings. Here you will find all of them by date till my first one in 3 years ago. Time flies. Until today, you will find when I was creating many different kind of jewelry designs, brooch, rings, pendants, bracelets, and many other different kind of designs. Also inside of my YouTube, you will find my YouTube channel, where you will find different tutorials about rendering, for example, and fast, quick videos about turntables or specific techniques. So I hope they will be useful for you. And of course in my Instagram and many other places, you know that today all of us are on the big digital world. Okay, now let me revise. I'm gonna save this first. As I said before, maybe I have a schedule. My next streaming to the Thursday, I think it's Thursday 22nd of August. On that streaming we will call this design finish it. Oh, I forgot to mention, you can see here you also have pictured the veil or the chain. We will, I think on the next streaming we will talking about making the stone setting, the necessary stone settings, the necessary fittings between each parts, the back part, this. And then we will talk about how to put this back part on the back, and we will try to leave it, finish it and ready for being rendered. Okay, so really appreciate your questions and your comments during the streaming. We will see you here again in 2 weeks. Yeah, 2 weeks. Okay, take care everybody, and keep ZBrushing, and see you all in 2 weeks. Bye. Thank you.